Shalom. Yes, this is the outcome of a bad haircut, what we called something that is itfakshesh in Ivrit, bloop. But, you know, the good side, I haven't seen myself like this since I joined the IDF. So I feel 18 and energetic, and let's start. Welcome to Notes of Prayer. I've deviated from the regular format of that series because there's so much material, so much liturgy in the high holidays that you can't just choose one tefillah as we've done in the past. So this time, tonight, we're going to have more music and less talking, and I call it the music you will not hear at shul. And it's very difficult. Why? Because this is all music that I love, and the music that I love I try to use during the tefillah in services. But nonetheless, for each of those songs, those compositions that you will hear tonight, there's a specific reason why I do not sing it in shul, at least this year. And so let's start. The first one is a piece that is very, very dear to my heart. I've sang it many times in concerts, specifically actually concerts of classical music and not Jewish music. In its style, this piece is very classical and appropriate for people who are unfamiliar with Jewish music as well. This piece is Shema Koleinu, that was written by Max Helfman. Max Helfman was born in 1901 in Poland and immigrated with his family at the age of 8 to the United States. He was a composer, choral director, and educator, and was involved with numerous of synagogues all throughout America, mainly liberal synagogues, but not only, also traditional ones. And he wrote also for choirs and also Jewish music that is not religious, like, for example, the Jewish theater, etc. And this particular piece he wrote and dedicated to the legendary opera star and incredible voice and chazan of Jan Pierce. And this particular piece I do not sing in the synagogue because it has such a beautiful dialogue between the chazan and the piano. And since we'll have to cut out the piano part, it's not going to have the same impact. And therefore, for me, this will always be a concert piece. So let's hear Shema Koleinu, hear our voice by Max Helfman. ברחמים וברצון את I know, you're clapping. The next piece brings me back to the beginning of my career. One of the first pieces of Chazanut that I've sang, in the days there was still a profession called music copyist. Somebody that you gave him the music, and he or she used to fix it and written it again with beautiful handwriting. Today, of course, we all use with computers, like word processor, but special softwares. This particular piece, Ve'al Yedei Avadecha, was written by one of the greatest chazanim of the past, Zevulun Kvartim, who was born in 1874 in the Ukraine. The beginning of his career was at the age of 20, when he was asked to lead Musaf after finishing the Haftarah on the Shabbat Sheva Brachot following his wedding. Only then he started learning and became one of the most sought after chazanim in the whole world and the most expensive one in the whole world. He immigrated to America in 1920, and from 1926 to 1931, he actually spent a lot of time in Israel. He wanted to make Aliyah. He couldn't work it out, and invested a lot in real estate. Eventually, he ended up in America and took a position in New Jersey in 1937, which he held until his passing in 1952. This particular piece is taken from the end of the bracha of Malchuyot in the Musaf of Rosh Hashanah, and that's an incredible example how a musical chazan can build a masterpiece based only on the simple traditional nusach. I personally have very fond memories of singing that particular piece. Quarton's youngest son, Paul Quarton, was a congregant of mine in Stamford, Connecticut. And on Rosh Hashanah, when he came to shul on his wheelchair, and he used to park right next to me so he can hear that particular piece. And at the end of the piece, he always used to, kind of like said, that was good. And it's a great compliment from somebody who had the pleasure of listening to that particular piece from his father, the composer, Chazan Zvulun Quarton. So, Ve'al Yedei Avadecha.
אני ראשון ואני אחרון,
Moving to 1973, the Yom Kippur War, one of the most devastated wars in the history of modern Israel. And Kibbutz Beit Hashita, a secular kibbutz, lost 11 of his sons in that war. Yair Rosenblum, a composer that already wrote many hits like Shir LaShalom, mainly for the military band in Tzahal. In 1990, just before he left the kibbutz, he wrote this particular song for the ceremony of Yom HaZikaron, the Memorial Day in the kibbutz. And he tells that somebody gave him a machzor, and all of a sudden the words of Untane Tokef just jumped out of the page, and he felt that this is the appropriate text, the text that most reflect the feelings of the kibbutz members. It was done in the kibbutz on that ceremony, and it was sang by Hanoch Al-Black. Hanoch Al-Black just passed away this year, and his voice became synonym with that particular song. I love the story behind the music so much. It's a perfect example of connecting text from medieval times with music in our time. And it shows the importance and the beauty and the uniqueness of our liturgy that has the ability to inspire even today and makes everything relevant. This particular piece combines different musical styles, Ashkenazi and Sephardic, and also modern Israeli. It's a very impressive and beautiful composition, but doesn't really work as congregational singing or as a full composition, in my view at least, in the synagogue. Nonetheless, you will recognize certain elements, certain parts that I did take from that particular rendition of Untane Tokef to our Nusach here in the shul. So, Untane Tokef by Yair Rosenblum.
ונתנה תוקף קדושת היום, כי הוא נורא ואיום, ובו תינשא מלכותך, וייכון בחסד כיסאך, ונשב עליו באמת, ותשב עליו באמת. אמת, כי אתה הוא דיין ומוכיח ויודע בועז, וחותם וסופר ומונה, ותזכור כל הנשכחות, ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות, ומאליו יקרב בחותם יד כל אדם פה. ובשופר גדול ייתקע, וקול דממה דקה יישמע, ומלאכים יחפזון, וכי לא רעדה יוחזון, ומלאכים יחפזון, וכי לא רעדה יוחזון. לפקוד ארץ ומרום בדין, כי לא יזכו בעיניך בדין, וכל באי עולם יעברו לפניך כבני מרום, כבקרת רועד רוב, מעביר רצונו תחת שבטו. וכל באי עולם יעברו לפניך כבני מרום, כבקרת רועד רוב, מעביר רצונו תחת שבטו. כן תעביר ותספור, ותבנה ותפקוד נפש כל חי, ותחטוף קצבה לכל בריאה, ותכתוב את גזר דינם. ובשופר גדול ייתקע, וקול דממה דקה יישמע, כיפור יחד אמון. כמה יעברון וכמה יבראון, מי יחיה ומי ימות, מי בקיצו ומי לא בקיצו, מי במים ומי באש, מי בחרב ומי בחיה, מי ברש ומי במגפה, מי ינוח ומי ינוע, מי שקט ומי טרף, מי שלב ומי יתייסר, מי שלב ומי יתייסר, מי ירום ומי שפל, מי אשר ומי יעני. ותשובה ותפילה וצדקה מעבירין את רוע הגזירה. אמת כי אתה הוא יוצרם ואתה יודע יצרם, כי הם בשר ודם. אדם יסודו מעפר וסופו לעפר, בנפשו יביא לך מות. משול כחרס הנשבר, כחציר יבש וחציץ נובר, וחצל עובר, וכענן קלה, וכרוח נושבת, וכאבק פורח, וחלום
And thank you to my incredible pianist, Roger Green. Woo! Okay, I want to go back to 2005, when I recorded my CD, B'Shuvcha LeZion, Return to Zion. Anyone who is interested in a copy of that CD can contact me. I still have a bunch of copies. And the piece that I love the most is the following one, Adam Yesodo Me'afar by Leibele Waldman. Leibele Waldman was the only American cantor that was considered part of the golden era of Chazanut that obviously was controlled by the Chazanim, the European Chazanim, the authentic ones. He was born in New York in 1907 to a family that immigrated from Galicia in Poland and started as a wunderkind that grew up and became one of the most celebrated Chazanim cantors in the 20th century. Me personally, I very much like Waldman, not only because he's an incredibly beautiful voice and being an incredible Chazan, but also because of the fact that he was one of the only baritone Chazanim in a world controlled by tenors. And a lot of the material that he sang is material that suitable for me and I sing. Specifically in this piece, in the middle of the piece, there's Benafsho Yavi Lachmo. He uses the low notes, very low notes, kind of saying to the other tenors, see, this is something you guys don't have. And the melody itself, it's a haunting melody. It's from the Robchitz Hasidim, that is very dear to me because my maternal grandfather, Zichrono Livracha, came from Robchitz. So, Adam Yesodo Me'achar, of course, from the Untane Tokef, Piyut, by Leibale Waldman.
Adam Yisroida, Yisoda me'afar, v'sova, v'zova v'efar yafar, Adam Yisoida, Yisoda me'afar, v'sofa, v'zova v'yafar. Adam, 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 Adam. Oy, Adam, Adam, Adam. Oy, Adam, Adam, Yisoida. Adam, 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 Adam. Benafsho yafi, yavi lachmo, Mashul kecherez ani shabar Adam. Benafsho yafi, yavi lachmo, Mashul kecherez ani shabar Adam, Adam. Benafsho yafi, yavi lachmo, Mashul kecherez ani shabar Benafsho yavi lachmo, Benafsho
Yeah, like a dream, it will fly. Now I come to one of my favorite chazanim, both as a composer and as a performer, Israel Alter. And I've sang many of his compositions in the past. He was born in the Ukraine in 1901. And around his bar mitzvah, his family moved to Vienna, where he started to study music and chazanut and got his first position as a chazan. Later on, he moved to Germany, to Hanover, and in 1935 to Johannesburg in South Africa, something that later on he knew saved his life. By the way, his grandson, Evron Alter, is still the chazan in Johannesburg. When he retired, Israel Alter moved in 1960 to New York and taught almost every major chazan in previous generation, like Jackie Mendelssohn and many, many others. What's special about Alter is his incredible interpretation of the text, his nuances, his sensitivity and accurateness to the text. One of my teachers, Noach Shol, ייבדל לחיים ארוכים, always said that if there's a doubt about a certain word, how to pronounce it or so, look at Alter. He's the most accurate. They say that before he composed a piece, he used to learn the text for long weeks, just the text, and only then he started composing, while he's using the music in order to express the ideas and the interpretation. And this sensitivity to the text, into language, for me, makes him one of the greatest chazanim in all generations. Now, this particular piece, Aneinu, you're not going to hear in the shul, because it appears at the end of the Slichot section, when usually everybody's looking at the clock and wanna leave. But listen to how much beauty is in that particular piece, Aneinu, answer us. And I know there was a joke among the, not a joke, but it was a challenge among the students of Alter, where he taught in New York, that when they were able to actually sing in the key in which he wrote the pieces, that was considered to be a tremendous achievement. So, what we're going to do today, Roger and I were debating about different keys for that piece, but I'm going to try to sing it in the original key in which Alter wrote that. It's going to be very, very high for me, but with Hashem's help, it's going to work. Okay.
Aneinu, 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 Vatik vechasir Aneinu, 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 Oy zach v'yashar Aneinu, 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 Chai v'kayam Aneinu, 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 Tov u'meitiev, Aneinu, 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 Yodei Yetzer Aneinu, 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 Kovesh ke'asiyim Aneinu, 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 lovesh tzedakot, Aneinu, Aneinu, melech melecheyo, melachiyim, Aneinu, nora v'nisgav, Aneinu, 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 Aneinu. Oy aneinu, 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 soleach umachbel, aneinu. Oy aneinu, aneinu, oy aneinu, aneinu, oy aneinu, yeder ratzon, aneinu, oy aneinu, aneinu, adeu matzil, aneinu, aneinu, tzadik v'yashar, aneinu, oy aneinu, karol lekarav, aneinu, oy aneinu, rachum v'chanun, aneinu, oy aneinu, shomea elev yoniyem, aneinu, aneinu, tomech zemimiyem, aneinu, aneinu, aneinu. Elokei avoteinu, aneinu, oy aneinu, Elokei Avram, aneinu, 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 pachad Yitzchak, aneinu, 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 oy avir Yaakov, oy aneinu, aneinu, oy aneinu, aneinu, oy aneinu, oy aneinu, oy ezerot zevatiyim, oy aneinu, 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 mizekavimot, aneinu, 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 kashelichos, Aneinu, aneinu. Aneinu rach lirtzot. Oy aneinu, aneinu. Oy aneinu, aneinu. Oy aneinu, aneinu. Oy Aneinu, Hidayan Almanot. Aneinu, 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 aneinu,
Aneinu. Answer us. Definitely deserve that after this year. The next piece you can find in the shul, but for our high holiday services, from the dozens of melodies written for that particular text, there's one that our congregation loves, and it was brought into the congregation many, many years ago by my dear friend and my dear colleague, Chazan Binyamin Glickman. And in that particular, and therefore, the areshet that we're gonna hear tonight is not the one we sing in the shul, because we use the one that was brought by Chazan Glickman. That particular melody has influences of Hasidic music, and it was written as a duet, and the arrangement is by Charles Heller.
Areshet Sefateinu, Areshet Sefateinu, Yerav Lefonecha El Ram V'Nisaya, Areshet Sefateinu, Areshet Sefateinu, Yerav Lefonecha El Ram V'Nisaya. Meviru mazin, mavitu maksiv. Meviru mazin, mavitu maksiv. Meviru mazin, mavitu maksiv. Meviru mazin, mavitu maksiv. Kol tekiyateinu, o tekabel berachamim, berachamim uveratzon, kabel berachamim. ברחמים וברצון. סדר, 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 שופרותינו.
From the top, just because it's so much fun.
הרשת, הרשת שפתנו, הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך, אל רם ונישא, מבין ומאזין, מביט ומקשיב, מבין ומאזין, מביט ומקשיב, מבין ומאזין, מביט ומקשיב, לכל, 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 שופרותינו.
That was fun. Now, it's not a concert if you don't have a Rosenblatt piece in it. And the following piece you're not going to hear in the shul, from the simple reason that this text belongs in the Amidah, but in the silent Amidah. Because it's an addition that we have only during the Chagim and only during the silent Amidah. This is going to be a loose translation of Elohai ad shelo notzarti. My God, up to my creation I was not worthy, and now that I was created, it's as if I have not been created. I'm like dust. Afar ani bechayai, kal v'chomer b'mitati. I'm like dust during life and even more so after I'm gone. So I ask you, my God, make it so I will never sin again. And with regards to what I've already sinned, please remove those sins, but please, not with great sickness or afflictions. Such a beautiful text. And this melody is written, this composition by Yosele Rosenblatt, the superstar Chazan, a real celebrity, fascinating life story that was enough for 2 books. And he wrote hundreds of compositions, and the person that perhaps influenced Chazanut today more than any other Chazan, and definitely the art of the cantor. We spoke about his life many times in the past. Really, a person that shaped that profession as Chazan and the art of the cantor. Elohai ad shelo notzarti by Yosele Rosenblatt.
Oy ad shelo notzarti, oy ad shelo notzarti, eini, 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 eini chaldai, ועכשיו שלא צרתי כאילו לא נוצרתי. עפר אני וחי, עפר אני וחי, קל וחומר, אוי ומית אותי, אוי הרי אני לפניך, הרי אני לפניך, כי יכלי ימור לבושה, כי יכלי מלא, אוי כי יכלי מלא בושה וכלי ומועה. רצון אוי מלפניך, הרי שם אלוהיקי ואלוהיקי אבויתי, שלא יחטא עוד, שלא יחטא עוד, אוי ומה שבשעתי לפניך, אוי ומה שבשעתי לפניך, מרק ורחמך אבל לא על ידי ייסורים, לא על ידי ייסורים ועליים רעים, אוי לא על ידי ייסורים, לא ועליים רעים, לא
The following piece you're not going to hear in shul, at least in our shul, because this particular piece of liturgy many congregations omit. It's a very, very old piyut poem, unknown author, that appears already in Sidur Rav Amram Gaon. Rav Amram Gaon already passed away in the year 872. However, already from the time of the Rishonim, it was very, very controversial, and there's a tremendous debate whether to recite that piyut or not. Why? Because in this particular poem, we address not humans, not HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but rather the angels. According to a different interpretation, we address the tzaddikim like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In any event, this is something that is very, very unusual, because even though we believe in Zchut Avot, in the merit of our forefathers, or in those heavenly beings and the angels and all that kind of stuff, the heavenly figures, we always very, very careful that our tefillah, our prayer, is always addressed directly to God. God is the recipient. It's a theological principle that God's door is always open. Everybody has Hashem's ear, and there's no need for mediators. So we're not going to recite that, but this beautiful melody was written by Rav Chaim Banet, and this song became a huge hit, recorded many times, etc. So, without further ado, Machnisei Rachamim.
Machnisei Rachamim, Hachnisu Rachameinu, Lifnei Bala Rachamim, Mashmi'ei Tefillah, Hashmi'u Tfilateinu, Livnei Shomea Tefillah, Mashmi'ei Tze'aka, Hashmi'u Tzakateinu, Livnei Shomea Tze'aka, Machnisei dim'a, Achnisu dimoteinu, Lifnei melech mitratze bidamaot, O ishtanelu ve'arbu techiyena, ve'arbu techiyena uvakasha, Livnei melech ravenisa, Oy melech ravenisa, Oy azkiru lefanav, Hashmi'u lefanav, Torah, u'masim tovim, shel shochenei afar, yizkor avotam, Elohei Sheinu V'yoshia B'rachamecha Rabim Mashiach Tzidkach Ve'amav. Machnis Rachamim Achnisu Rachameinu Lifnei Bala Rachamim Mashmi'ei Tefillah Hashmi'u Tfilateinu Lifnei Shomea Tefillah O Ishtadlu Ve'arbu Techiyina Ve'arbu Techiyina U'Bakasha Sherit Yaakov Ba'eraneinu Elohei Sheinu Uvdeinu Mikol Gzeirot Kashot Mashiach Tzidkach Ve'amav.
From one hit to another one, but very, very, very different. The next piece is Avinu Malkeinu. It's a tefillah that we actually do say in Beit HaKnesset. Nonetheless, this particular melody was written by Max Janowski, who was a composer, conductor, and a teacher of Jewish music. He was born in Berlin in 1912 and immigrated to the United States in 1937. And he worked for many, many congregations and also wrote music, Jewish music for not for the liturgy, like theaters, etc. And he had a tremendous influence on the music of the synagogues, especially the Reformed temples. And he wrote some masterpieces. One of them, Sim Shalom, we sang in one of the previous concerts. But today I will sing probably the most famous piece that he ever wrote, Avinu Malkeinu. That particular piece became so famous because of the rendition and the recording of Barbra Streisand. And of course, since then, it became a hit. We do not say it, we do not sing it, or at least I can't sing it in the shul, for a very interesting reason, because the order of the lines of Avinu Malkeinu, as they appear in the piece, which follows the Reform prayer book, does not match the order of the lines that we have in the traditional prayer book. So it's either you recite the text the way it's in the Machzor, or you can sing it the way it's written in the music, and therefore it's not going to work. Nonetheless, it's a phenomenal piece for a concert. Avinu Malkeinu by Max Janowski, written for a cantor, mixed choir, and organ. But today, the mixed choir and the organ going to be played by none other than Roger Green.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefonecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamal aleinu. V'yalol aleinu, v'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, kal tevel, v'cherev rav me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, kale kol tzar, u'mastin me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Adveinu v'sefer chaim tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Chodesh aleinu, Chodesh aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu.
And that brings me to the last piece, and this is the piece you're actually going to hear in our shul during the high holidays. I want to take this advantage and wish you on behalf of my family, wish everybody Ktiva v'chatima tova, Shana tova u'metuka, a happy, sweet year. I hope to see you during the holidays in Beit HaKnesset, but I know that at least for some of you, what's right is to stay home this year as well. I hope and pray that the next year is going to be of blessing, is going to bring blessing to all of you, and besorot tovot, good news, because we really had a difficult year. Tichle shana v'kileloteha, tachel shana u'virchoteha. May the previous year, with all its curses end, and may the new one, with all its blessings, start. Shana tova u'metuka. And of course, this is the full Kaddish, the Hasidic Kaddish, and Roger is going to be not only my pianist, but also my choir as well. And let's...
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ויעלמה דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יתברא וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודש הבריחו לילה לילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן תתקבל תלתן ובתן לכל בית ישראל קדם עוון דבי שמיה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה בין שמיה וחיים עולנו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. שנה טובה.